Hey and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's begin with our daily news. Exceptional player has now left Arsenal on a permanent deal. Arsenal defender Pablo Mari has reportedly completed a permanent move to Serie A side Monza, where he has been on loan since the start of the season. The Spaniard joined the Gunners on an initial loan deal back in January 2020. That move was made permanent in the following summer, but Mari only played 22 times for Arsenal in all competitions. Now, the Mirror claim he has left the club and joined Monza on a permanent deal. Pablo Mari joined Monza from Arsenal on a season-long loan deal last summer. The Italian side had an option inserted to buy him at the end of that deal, but it was made clear that they would be obligated to do so if they managed to avoid relegation in the Serie A. Monza achieved that over the weekend following their 2-0 win over Spezia, and that triggered the €7 million clause that obligates them to sign Mari permanently. The report from the Mirror now claims that the exceptional Spanish defender has completed a permanent exit from Arsenal after completing his move to Monza. That brings an end to Mari's 3.5 year spell on the Gunners' books. Mari is by no means a bad player, but things just didn't work out for him at Arsenal. He suffered a serious injury just a few months after joining the Gunners that kept him out of action for almost 6 months, 171 days to be exact. Arsenal has brought in Gabriel Magalhaes by that point, and that reduced the need for Mari in the side. A move away for Mari is the best thing for all parties, and Arsenal can now put the £5.9 million they have received from Monza to good use. David Ornstein claims out of this world Arsenal player is definitely going to leave this summer. Journalist David Ornstein has now reported that Charlie Patino will be leaving Arsenal permanently this summer. The Athletic journalist provided the update on Twitter as the summer transfer window approaches. It's been a challenging season for Charlie Patino, who has been a regular at Blackpool in the Championship. He's been one of Blackpool's most important players, but couldn't prevent them from being relegated last weekend. There were previously suggestions that Patino would be promoted to the first team squad next season. Mikel Arteta has said before that Patino has a bright future. However, it looks as if that will now be away from the Emirates, with Ornstein reporting that Arsenal will be letting Patino to go. There was plenty of talk earlier in the season about whether he would sign a new deal at the club. It appears that his contract extension until 2025 hasn't convinced the out of this world 19-year-old to stay at the club. In a tweet, Ornstein said, Charlie Patino set to leave Arsenal permanently this summer. 19 years old, wants regular first team action, unlikely for now, plus prefers not to exit Arsenal on loan again. Club receptive and ready to help facilitate as interest builds from UK and abroad. The young central midfielder may be worried about his future prospect of playing for Arsenal. There has been a huge amount of talk about potential incomings this summer in his position. Declan Rice has been heavily linked, and Arsenal were desperate to sign Moses Caicedo in January. It's understandable that he doesn't want to go out on loan again. Stability is becoming more and more important for young players as they focus on their development. One bad loan move can waste a year of a player's career, something Patino can't afford to happen. Kyle Walker has been so impressed by 25-year-old Arsenal player this season. Kyle Walker has hailed Ben White as one of England's best right backs, stating that the defender has been really good this season. Speaking on the official Manchester City podcast, the 32-year-old hailed White's performances with the Gunners this term, naming him as a competitor for his starting spot in the England side. The Three Lions currently have an abundance of fantastic right backs, and White has been among the very best in the league this season as Arsenal continue to mount their Premier League title challenge. Walker hailed the Arsenal ace. He said, with England, we are blessed with right backs. There is me, Trippier, Reece, Trent, and then you look at Wan-Bissaka and Ben White, who is doing really well now at Arsenal. There are so many players who are playing really well now in my position. Ben White has been out of the reckoning with England recently after leaving the World Cup squad early in the winter, but we can't help but wonder when he is going to get his next shot, with Walker and Trippier aging, Trent Alexander-Arnold transitioning into the midfield, and Reece James struggling with injury. The door should be open for White to make that right back spot his own. Of course, Gareth Southgate has his own principles and biases in terms of the players he likes and the players he doesn't. And while White may be in the squad gaffer's bad books at the moment, if he keeps playing at such a high level, the defender should be able to work his way back into the fold on the international stage. As Walker says, White has been brilliant this term and he deserves recognition for his good form for the Gunners. Arsenal inquire about signing £60 million Crystal Palace defender. Arsenal are being strongly linked with a transfer interest in £60 million rated star Crystal Palace defender Mark Guehi by Fabrizio Romano. Guehi has shown in his time at Selhurst Park and is now widely expected to be on the move to a bigger club this summer, with the Gunners leading the race for his signature at the moment. It has previously been claimed that Palace would ask for as much as £60 million for Guehi, who has become a full England international in his time with the Eagles. Arsenal need more depth in defence, and Guehi seems ideal to give Mikel Arteta more options alongside William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. Tottenham have also been linked with Guehi, but it may be that he will favour a move to a club playing in the Champions League. Arsenal watched £70 million England forward this weekend ahead of potential summer deal. Arsenal are back in the mix for Roma striker Tammy Abraham ahead of a potential transfer scramble for the England man this summer. The Gunners had scouts in Italy to see Abraham scored in a 1-1 draw with AC Milan. According to 90 Minute, Arsenal, Chelsea, Tottenham, and Newcastle all had scouts in attendance to keep an eye on Abraham and others. Abraham has enjoyed a great few seasons in Rome with Jose Mourinho. Since arriving from Chelsea, Abraham has become a regular goal scorer and has hit an impressive 36 goals in just shy of 100 appearances. Arsenal have cast admiring glances in the direction of Abraham in the past. Indeed, it was only in January that report surfaced suggesting that the Gunners were keen on landing the forward. Mikel Arteta is said to be backed once again this summer by the board. Arsenal have spent well in the last few windows, and there is a belief that they aren't too far away from being hugely successful. And with the Champions League football to come as well, the Crowings are prepared to spend. Of course, Abraham might cost a pretty penny. Chelsea reportedly have a buyback clause of around £70 million for Abraham, which means Roma would look for something similar from other clubs. Tammy Abraham definitely has a skill set that not many, if anyone, at Arsenal has. He is more of a traditional number 9 in the way he plays, but he is also mobile and quick when he gets going. Jack Grealish previously raved about Abraham as well. The England midfielder lauded Abraham as an unbelievable after their time together at Aston Villa. Should Arsenal fancy a more direct option in their attack for next season, then Tammy Abraham certainly offers a lot. Arsenal now want outstanding 25-year-old AC Milan defender. Arsenal are one of the teams scouting Fikayo Tomori as the England international sets his sight on a return to the Premier League in the near future. That is according to a report from 90 Minute, who suggests that the Gunners watched the AC Milan centre-back in action against Roma. Fikayo Tomori has proved to be an outstanding signing for the Rossoneri, helping the club win the Scudetto last season, but it seems that he may now be ready to move on from San Siro. According to 90 Minute, Tomori believes that returning to the Premier League may boost his chances of getting back into the England side, and there are plenty of admirers. According to the report, Arsenal, Manchester United, and Newcastle were all monitoring Tomori against Roma. Liverpool, meanwhile, are also in the running to sign him. It certainly appears that Arsenal could do with another marquee centre-back in the summer. Their title charge has somewhat unravelled since William Saliba sustained his recent injury. Rob Holding has done a decent job, but he is not on the Frenchman's level, so signing a player of Tomori's caliber could be a really smart move ahead of their Champions League return, and he may well like the idea of heading to the Emirates. Tomori has previously told CBS Sport how Thierry Henry was his idol growing up, so the idea of following in his footsteps, albeit in a different position, will surely be extremely tempting. Arsenal are moving in the right direction at a rapid rate. If they are decide to offer Tomori a return to England, he will surely struggle to turn them down. Arsenal won't move straight away to sign underrated Premier League star this summer. Journalist Fabrizio Romano has shared an update on Arsenal's pursuit of West Ham United captain Declan Rice. Speaking on the House of Champions podcast, Romano was providing an update on Arsenal's potential summer business. The last thing Mikel Arteta will want to think about right now is the end of the season. Despite the recent poor run of form, they have still got an outside chance of winning the Premier League. He will be very pleased that the Champions League qualification is already secured. However, going 4 games without a win and losing 4-1 at the Etihad has handed the advantage to Manchester City. Arteta has done a fantastic job with a young squad at the Emirates, and they are certainly a club on the up. Fabrizio Romano has now shared an update on Arsenal's pursuit of Declan Rice, who has been identified as a potential upgrade this summer. The underrated West Ham star is having another great season, and Arsenal have been heavily linked with a move. But Romano believes the Gunners may not be rushing to make an offer once the season ends. Speaking about the 24-year-old midfielder, Romano said, "This is a possibility. We have known since January that Declan Rice is one of the names Arsenal have on their list for the summer. I think it will also depend on the price tag on West Ham's side because West Ham always want a lot of money for Declan Rice. So I think it's now part of their strategy to wait a bit and understand how much West Ham want to sell the player. What we can say is Declan Rice will not sign a new contract at West Ham. This was already decided last year. We can confirm he has no intention to sign at this stage because he wants to try a different kind of experience. So the feeling around Declan Rice is that this summer he will finally get this big move for a lot of money. Arsenal will be there. They appreciate the player. It's one of the names they have on their list. Arsenal staff were absolutely convinced outstanding player was going to sign for them in January. Arsenal staff were absolutely convinced that Mykhailo Mudryk would sign for them in January. A report from The Telegraph has provided more details on one of the most exciting transfer sagas of the season. Arsenal started making noises last summer that they wanted to sign Mikhailo Mudryk. The young Ukrainian winger was tearing it up for Shakhtar Donetsk and playing brilliantly in the Champions League. He was even liking posts on social media suggesting that the Gunners were keen to sign him. January rolled around and Arsenal were in a brilliant position in the league and had Mudryk in their sights. However, Chelsea suddenly made their interest clear at the last minute to sign the 22-year-old. Any planning Arsenal had done was immediately undone as the Blues matched Shakhtar's asking price. After months of negotiations, the Gunners missed out on a player they'd be expecting to sign all season. They were forced to look elsewhere and may just be relieved that they did given how well their Mudryk alternative has performed. The report from the Telegraph provides more details and states that in the early days of the January window, as Arsenal's decision makers were beginning to execute their carefully laid transfer plans, there was no real concern among them that Mikhailo Mudryk would join any other club. Arsenal were convinced by Mudryk's talent, and they were equally convinced that the winger wanted to join them. Arsenal thought they had a greater chance of agreeing a fee to sign the outstanding Mudryk in January. They didn't anticipate Chelsea's aggressive transfer policy and were made to pay for not acting fast enough. However, they turned to Leandro Trossard instead, and the Belgian has been brilliant since arriving at the Emirates. He is far much better than Mudryk in the Premier League, who has recorded just 2 assists in 11 appearances. it would be unfair to write off Mudryk already, given the turmoil at Chelsea right now. However, for the fee that they paid, they would have hoped for a better return from the Ukrainian this season. In contrast, Trossard has a goal and 8 assists since signing for Arsenal. He is pushing one of the best front lines in the league to start every week, which is an astonishing achievement. Mudryk will visit the Emirates tonight as an enemy. I will be uploading daily Arsenal news, so keep your eyes on the channel and don't forget to like and subscribe. I appreciate your support. Peace out.